What's going on YouTube? My name is Amisbro, and for this video we are doing episode 25 of the anime review series. This is also the final review for Boys Love Month. We have done Junjo Romantica, Seikaiichi Hatsukoi, both of which were very well done. And we are ending tonight on Antique Bakery. Interestingly enough, despite the fact that it is classified as a Shonen Ai series, there wasn't really a whole lot of that going on. But we'll get into that in a second. Here's an interesting fact for those of you who are into quirky little facts about anime. July 4th, 2008 was the date that this series first aired. Do you know what series here aired 5 years later on that very same day? Free, I Would Toys Swim Club. Yes, the first season of Free aired July the 4th, 2013. So if you want to draw a very interesting parallel, there you go, although that is where they end. Antique Bakery tells the story of a young man excuse me, named Keiichiro Takanaba. And as the story goes, many years ago, Takanaba was actually kidnapped by a man, and he was fed cake all the time. This actually, by the way, plays into our story in more than one way. He was eventually found, well, he more or less escaped on his own, after stabbing his captor in the leg and running off. He did return to his parents safe and sound, but because of this, a lot of things happened. Not the least of which was while he was in high school, he met a young man named Yusuke Ono. Yusuke is gay, and he had a crush on Keiichiro. Well, Keiichiro actually, let's just say, rejected him harshly, and, as it were, basically told him to go die. Basically, that's what he told him to do, because he said that people like him disgusted him. This is one of the first series of the three that I can remember where the idea of homophobia was tackled. And it was done in a way that was respectful. You may not believe it yet. And because even though in this instance it sounds like he was a bit of a dick, and he was, later on in the series the situation is confronted again, and Keiichiro actually apologizes for saying all the nasty things that he said many years before. So it takes a big man to tell someone, especially someone who is openly gay, that they're sorry for being very harsh towards them. And yeah, I was a bit stunned first off when he slapped him, and then I was also even more impressed when he said, you know, I'm sorry for saying all those nasty things to you. This also, by the way, came after an instance where his assistant / butler, Shikaij, ended up leaving because of a situation which happened between Yusuke and a former lover, we'll say. Because, yes, Yusuke is gay. They call him, actually, the gay of demonic influence. No, I'm not kidding about that. I swear on a stack of Bibles, that is exactly the term they use when they talk about him. What makes this series though even more interesting is one of the other characters we meet in this setup. His name is EJ Kondo, or Skanda rather. Kanda was a former boxer. I say former because as we find out very early in the series, he suffered a very serious injury. He suffered a detached retina. Because of this, he was forced to retire. He's a former world champion. They call him the idol in the ring, believe it or not. And he's legitimately one of the coolest characters ever. And he has a bit of a sweet tooth. Matter of fact, when he's told this, he's actually fed a piece of cake by his coach. Well, this would play in later into the series. Matter of fact, episode 2, when he decides, after he sees that there's a job opening, to go apply for the bakery, which is called Antique. And what ends up happening is a very unique bond between EJ and Yusuke. He wants to become a passitier like Ono, and hey, that's cool. Look, one of your careers is over. You have to think ahead. And he's a little too young to be sitting around doing nothing, one would think. So the fact that he wanted to do this is really awesome. Oh, and I should mention, Kanda is voiced by the incomparable Namora Mayano. Matter of fact, one of the main reasons we actually are doing this series, or did this series, was because when I was looking up his acting roles, I happened to notice that he did this series. And I said to myself, you know what? We're going to watch that series. Because I actually wanted to see what it was all about, really. And the series starts. Let's get into the actual idea of the series now. When the series starts, you don't really know what to think of it. The first episode, they literally throw all the hardcore, quote-unquote, yaoi stuff at you. And I think this is the way the writers looked at the series. If you could get past that first episode and not turn it off and be disgusted by it, you will be able to make it through the rest of the series. Mission accomplished. Because I admit, when I watched the first episode, I was sitting there going, what the fuck, man? What the hell am I watching? But in reality, what you end up getting is a very interesting story told through flashbacks and also through very interesting character development when it comes to the very small staff, such as, excuse me, Takanaba, Ono, Kanda, and eventually Shikage. By the way, that's not his last name, but I'll be fucked if I try to pronounce it. That's his first name. And it's very interesting to, see how they all get along and how, how EJ ends up really taking a liking to working under Ono. And this literally is part of your story for the first 6 episodes. For him, basically, it's like the first, 5. Because from episode 2 through episode 6 is basically them developing that story. Which, by the way, here's literally how he got hired. And I wish I was kidding. This is what happens. He finds out that finds out that EJ wants to work there. He takes the kid, shoves him in front of Ono and goes, "Is he your type?" Ono goes, No. He goes, "You're hired." I swear that is the exact way they hired him. Verbatim. The damnedest hiring practice I've ever seen in my life. But no, it worked out. The first 6 episodes really dealt, though, with the building of the reputation of the bakery, the building of the staff, the camaraderie of the staff, the building of, them becoming a staple in the community. The next 6, however, take a very dark turn around the end of episode 7. Because you see, part of the plot from episode 1 was seeing that Taganaba was actually kidnapped. The rest of the series deals with who was the person responsible for doing the kidnapping and also catching the person. Well, from episodes 7 to 11, we really start to build to that because Taganaba has more flashbacks from when he was held captive for however long it was. I forget exactly how long he was held for. And what we were finding out, we would start to find out bits and pieces, was the person who was doing the capturing, they would bring cake to the captor, and then the person would be strangled or killed in some way. Guess what? The plot twist that happens there, you don't see it coming. But when episode 11 happens, you really have to stop and take a minute just to absorb what just happened. Because you don't expect, first off, you're not expecting the story probably to be revisited, nor are you expecting this really dark backstory in the first place. But when it happens, you're like, okay, you're not like shocked that it happened because you already knew from episode 1. But it's the building to catching the criminal. And that was a very interesting and in many ways emotional sight to see. On top of this, however, when you get to the end of this series, it seems like everybody starts to part company. And I do wish that they had like an epilogue at the end of episode 12 that said what happened with everybody. Like Chikai's, because he ends up leaving. I'll tell you this, he ends up leaving Taganaba, and Kanda ends up going to France, which, by the way, was something he was, if you find out, he's actually against, because he really wants to work, it seems, with Ono. And you also find out some other important tidbits excuse me, when it comes to his backstory, and they're all very, very big things. The animation, like I mentioned, is very well done. This is a nearly 7-year-old anime, and I'm telling you this when you look at it from the perspective of the way they did the lighting, the way they did the effects, the way they did like 3D CG models. This was an anime from 2008. You know what I'm saying? The way they did this stuff was so well done that that's like one of the big selling points to me for the series. Your opening theme, I'll actually get for you. What is it called again? Give me 2 seconds. It is called Life Goes On, and it is done by a group called Chemistry. That's a really, really good theme song, and the ending's not bad either. I wish I knew the name of that one for you. But, it's a really, really energetic song, and the way they did the opening, where they have like cardboard cutouts of the characters and they're doing like stop motion things, that was awesome. and the way they were able to do like a model of the bakery. Whoever was behind the animation or the 3D or CG effects, my hat's off to you, because it was brilliant. That's all I'm going to say. Story is a very interesting one, because the story isn't just about the people in the bakery and isn't just about the kidnappings. It's about sometimes the people that come in there, much like it was in Happy Boys, if you remember my review of that J-drama. It's a very well done, well acted, well animated series, and forget for 30 seconds that's even a shonen ai, because really they don't focus on that element that much. Yeah, they kind of do in Seikaiichi, but they don't do it in an explicit manner. They don't even have an explicit manner way about it when it comes to this series. Okay, there's like maybe one scene where one of Ono's mentors comes to see him, and they have a scene in the bed, but other than that, there's really nothing. There's really nothing that's off-putting that will make you cringe if you're that type of person. Anyone could watch this series, and it's a very beautiful series. And remember I was mentioning the thing about the homophobia? There's actually a scene in a department store. They're getting ready for a cake fair, and I guess one of the competing shops knew Ono and didn't like him, and they called him the F word. You know the F word, trust me. And Kanda's like, he's not a beep, he's gay, G-A-Y. And I'm sitting there going, so please explain to me what the difference is. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, enough rambling about that. This review's going on long enough, probably. This is a definite recommendation. All 3 series that we reviewed for the month, for the BL month, you should go check out for different reasons. But this one is a testament. This one, to me, stands the test of time, and that is one of the big things that anime and TV shows need to be able to do. There's a lot of people on like my anime list, it's not rated that highly, but in my personal and honest opinion, it's one of the more underrated shonen eyes you've not seen. Trust me. Because seriously, I'm going to ask this question. Where's the fandom for it? I haven't found it yet. Tumblr, where usually you have like these fandoms, I won't get into that rant, but it's seriously one of the best kept secrets in Japanese anime and the BL genre. Do go check it out. It is worth your time. The next time I see you, it will be in March. Because guess what time it is, kids? It is Girls Love Month. Yes, and this time we are going to be looking at Revolutionary Girl Utena and maybe Sakura Kiss, depending on how I work things. So, I will see you in March. Until then, my friends, you take care of yourselves. Sayonara.